Thursday in the NBA, and my best bets are coming your way. It is October 28th, and let's get after it today. But let's recap yesterday real quick. We went 6-4, winning back 1.45 units, so we love to see that. It would have been even better if John Morant and the Grizzlies showed up, but my best bet, Cole Anthony over 4.5 assists. Yeah, you didn't even have to sweat that one past the 6-minute mark in the third quarter. We love to see that. Also, Cash Dinwiddie's under an assist. We had under 7.5. I think he had 3 assists. We had the Celtics Wizards under. Bam Adebayo's over. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's over in points and assists. James Harden, he sold us, and he's on the no-bet list for a while. But you can see the rest of the losses, 5-2 on player props. You love to see that. Let's get after it. Let's continue this momentum, gain on a hot streak real quick. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. We're 500 subscribers away from 12,000. Can't do it without you guys' support. And like I teased yesterday, we had some exciting things coming in tomorrow's episode. I promise you guys you don't want to miss it. Also, let me know your favorite bet down below in the comments. I want to see what you guys are playing, and maybe I'll even play it myself. Now, it helps us more, and click that like button too. It helps us more than you guys know. But let's get after it. Let's hop into it. We're starting with my best bet. Kemba Walker, under 15.5 points. I will die on this hill. Now, if you're confused, like, what the heck is he talking about? On Tuesday, I bet Kemba Walker's under 13.5 points. And what did he do? He apparently, someone out there showed him the video. So if Kemba, if you're watching out there, we appreciate you. Or he saw me on Twitter talking smack, and he came out, dropped 19 points on 15 shots all over my face. Now, today, I just think that's a one-game wonder. If you look at it, I think he's not going to do it. You look at the 3 games prior to last game, he had 8 shots in each of them, and he stayed under 11 points in every single game. I think this was an overcorrection going up to 15.5 points for Kemba. You look at the Bulls, currently giving up the fewest points in the league to opposing point guards at just under 15.5 per game. And last note, Tom Thibodeau and Derrick Rose returning to Chicago. You know they have a connection there. Who's to say Tom Thibodeau won't just play Derrick Rose a little bit more minutes than he normally plays coming off the bench? So I'm going to take Kemba Walker's under. He's my best bet. And if I get hurt, I promise I won't take an under on him ever again the rest of the season. Let's move on to some over-unders. Spurs Mavs. I'm taking the under 222 points, minus 110 on BetMGM. Now, Spurs games that went over this line this season, over 222, were against teams like the Lakers and the Bucks. Those teams are allowing 98 and 93 opponent field goal attempts per game, which means they're playing at a faster pace, and you got a higher chance of going over if you're shooting more. Now, Dallas currently ranks in the bottom half of opponent field goal attempts, only 88 per game, 10 less than the Lakers, 5 less than the Bucks. And Dallas is only allowing 106 points per game to their opponents, while you look at the Lakers, they're allowing 122, the Bucks 119. That's a pretty big discrepancy when you think about it. The Spurs currently at the 11th spot in points per game, but like I said, 3 of their 4 opponents have been higher scoring teams that are pushing the pace. The total has gone under in 6 of San Antonio's last 8 games when playing on the road in Dallas. So I'm going to take the under here in this spot, and I think we got a good one. Now, despite me taking the under, I'm going to take an over in a player prop. Jakob Poeltl over 21.5 PRAs. The starting center for the San Antonio Spurs has had a great start to his NBA season. Arguably, he's had the best run in his NBA career. He's averaging 16 rebounds per game, 16 points per game, 10.8 rebounds per game, and 3.5 assists per game. And he's coming off, probably, like I said, he's having the best run of his career, probably coming off the best game of his career. Here's his PRA numbers through 4 games. 32, 24, 24, and 41 in the last game against the Lakers. Now, he's seeing over 30 minutes per game, and I'm not scared of this Mavericks team defensively. Porzingis is questionable. Doesn't really affect my decision if he's in or out. And if he's in, Boban will probably play a little bit more minutes, which is fine since Poeltl is really the only center on this team. They play Drew Eubanks a couple minutes, but he's not going to be someone that's going to steal a ton of minutes from Poeltl. And then you look at it, Doug McDermott also out for this game. He's going to be out for a couple games or weeks. I don't remember his exact injury designation, but he's going to be out for a while, so even more dwindled. You look at it, I'm thinking the Mavs, they're allowing 20.3 points per game, 16.6 rebounds per game, and 3.7 assists per game to opposing centers. Daniel Theis and Christian Wood both hit this over. Daniel Theis has not been playing well this year, and then he had 15 and 10 on this Mavs team. Precious Achiuwa, he hit this. Clint Capella and John Collins both hit it. Poeltl should be on your radar tonight if you want. It's a shorter slate, but I like him. The Spurs obviously don't have a ton of options on offense, and they should look to get him involved early and often. So let's switch back now to the Knicks-Bulls game, because I have an over-under pick in there. I'm taking the over, 13.5 points per game, minus 115 on BetMGM. Now, Bulls games this season, if you're looking at their defensive rating, it's a little bit inflated. They've gone under twice this season, both games against the Pistons. I mean, what are you supposed to say? The Pistons are averaging 91 points per game, the fewest in the league. It's hard to carry a team to an over if you got a team that can't score any points. So that's just how it is in the NBA. Now, Knicks, what you say about the Knicks, they're actually second in points per game right now at 118. Granted, that's a little bit inflated from their double overtime game against the Celtics earlier this year. They're playing at a much faster pace than they really ever have, and they're averaging the most three-point field goals made in the NBA, which is unreal to think of as a Knicks fan when they couldn't make any shots last year. Now they're just making tons of shots. Now, I understand I picked a Kemba Walker under as my best bet, but I don't really care. I don't think that affects this one here too much. Kemba Walker doesn't play defense either. Neither does Evan Fournier. Now, last year, these two teams played 3 games, and they all went under. But that was a slower-paced Knicks team and a different Bulls team. Obviously, this Bulls team now is Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, DeMar DeRozan. They're all running. They're running much better, and while they might be better defensively, they're still giving up points this year. And you look at it, you look at the Knicks are allowing 92.5 opponent field goal attempts per game. That's on par with teams like the Portland Trailblazers, which, as you know, Portland doesn't play a whole lot of defense. Now, like I said, the Bulls are giving up points to teams that actually can score somewhat, not the Pistons. The Raptors scored 108 on the Bulls, and they're not doing too well offensively, and the Pelicans scored 112 on them. All we need is 107 points from each team, 26 per quarter. These teams are averaging over 30 points per quarter sometimes, and like I said, Knicks are averaging the most three-point field goals made in the NBA, so I like it, and we'll even pick a player prop in this game. Mitchell Robinson, over 7.5 rebounds, -115, BetMGM. The starting center for the Knicks, playing some pretty good basketball so far this season. If you look at his rebounds, he's been piling up. We'll just talk his rebound game log. He's at 6, 10, 9, and 17 rebounds in 4 games, so cashing it in 3 of 4. His one miss was last game against Joel Embiid, so obviously he's guarding Joel Embiid nonstop, and he was in foul trouble that game, which is always the threat for Mitchell Robinson, but I still think he gets it, even if he plays 30 minutes a game. And I don't even think, the good news for us, I don't even think he needs 30 minutes a game against this Bulls team. Here's his game log for Chicago in his whole career when he's at least gotten 15 minutes. We're only asking for 15. He should easily clear 25, 30 minutes tonight. He's at 11, 8, 10, 9, 17, and 10 rebounds. He's been on an absolute tear against this Bulls team. He's been a machine. He's currently averaging 17 rebound opportunities per game, and I think he should be able to get it despite him playing against Nikola Vucevic, a pretty decent center in the NBA. And all 4 games this season, the Bulls have allowed at least 2 players from the opposing team to have at least 8 rebounds, and every single center has hit this over. That includes players like Isaiah Stewart and company, and Precious Achiuwa. Both of them hit it, and they've allowed, like I said, 2 players from every single team to hit this over. You'd assume Mitchell Robinson would be one of them for the New York Knicks. So I'm locking in Mitchell Robinson over 7.5 rebounds. Now moving on to my spread pick, and then we got one more over-under. We're taking the Jazz, -8.5. Taking on the Rockets, -118 on FanDuel. Now, the Rockets, here's what they do. They either win outright or they're losing by double digits. And they got lucky. They covered. We picked the Mavs a couple of games ago, and they covered by 1 point. It was a complete fluke. They just won. They covered but they still lost by double digits. Still lost by 10 points. And I don't think they get lucky today. Now, last season, these 2 teams played 3 times. And the Jazz won each game by 8, 13, and 15. So you're like, well, they won by less than double digits in one of them. Yeah, that game they didn't have Donovan Mitchell. So, Donovan Mitchell, if you don't watch the Utah Jazz, he's a little bit important to the team's success. Now, this season, you look at them, Donovan Mitchell's playing all right, Rudy Gobert's playing pretty well, and then Mike Conley, Bojan Bogdanovic, and company are playing decently. I get these are slightly different teams than they were last year, but it still holds true. The Rockets have lost 3 games this season, and they've won 1. The one game they won by 18 points, and then the 3 losses have all been by 10 or more points. And now they take on the best defensive team that they've seen this season, and the Jazz should give them fits on defense, and they should be able to cover this game. I'd love a blowout, but I don't think we'll get lucky enough. We haven't been cashing spread picks, so maybe you pick the Rockets, put money on Rockets money line. But we're going to take a player prop. We're going to talk about that defense in a second. Jae'Sean Tate, under 11.5 points, -115 on BetMGM. Who? Yeah, I know. Who the heck is this Jae'Sean Tate? How do I spell this guy's name? Yeah, I understand. He's the Houston Rockets small forward through 4 games this season. Here are his point totals. 2 points, 16 points, 12 points, and 6 points. So he's hit the over in 2 of the games. So you're like, 50%. Why am I taking an under here? But the 2 teams he hit the over on, Boston and Oklahoma City Thunder. Boston currently ranks 23rd in defensive rating. OKC, not any better, 28th in defensive rating. The 2 teams he went under on were the Mavs, who we already took an under on earlier in the video. They rank 13th in defensive rating. And the Timberwolves, who quietly ranked 5th in defensive rating. So it's almost like it depends on who he's playing for Jae'Sean Tate. Well, today, he plays the best defense he's seen this season. The Jazz currently ranked 3rd in defensive rating. They're giving up the 2nd fewest points to opposing small forwards, Jae'Sean Tate's position. And not to mention, Tate, Yeah, he's not shot more than 9 times in a single game this season. And if you look at it, he's a career 30% three-point shooter, and he has to score all his points in the paint. Well, hello, Rudy Gobert will be camping out there waiting for you, and I don't think he does it. Now, last season, these two teams obviously played 3 times, and you look at Jae'Sean Tate, he went over this line once. He had 13, 8, and 7 points in those 3 matchups. Now, the only thing is, he shot 18, 19, and 13 times in those games. That's way over what he will be shooting today, unless he watched the video and just goes absolutely bonkers. But like I said earlier, he hasn't shot more than 9 times in a single game this season, so I'll take the under in this. That'll wrap it up. Check out these 2 videos on the screen. I'll appreciate it. You guys have been killing the like and support button. Let me know your favorite bet down below. It's been Austin. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.